As you can see here, I'm eating some hot wings for lunch today. This is essentially what I consider to be a staple food when I'm doing carnivore while I'm working during the work week. There are a little bit of leftovers in the fridge, so I went ahead and reheated this. So I'm going to go ahead and knock this out, and that'll tide me over between now and dinner. I hate to see this kind of food go to waste, so I'll spend the extra time and eat this if no one else will. Alrighty, my wife made some beef shoulder steak. This doesn't have nearly as much fat as I like, but beggars can't be choosers. But I'm going to focus on prioritizing the fatty parts first, getting all the fat I can off this, and then I'll eat the rest to satiety. And that's going to wrap up my dinner for tonight. This is beef chuck shoulder steak. So something I didn't do today was factor in my wife's leftovers into either my budget or my meal plan. So for example, last night she made a bunch of chicken and she had some excess, and one of them was not consumed today, so I didn't want it to go to waste, so I basically ate it, which I'm not complaining about, but generally I like to do just 2 meals a day and not snack. But in this case, in order to prevent food loss, I snack. So that's kind of something that I want to try to get away from. But I'll have to kind of work with my wife a little bit better to ensure that there's that the leftovers get used. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to skip it and let it fall by the wayside. Sometimes she just makes too much dinner. That's just how it is. And we have excess that needs to be stored for the next day, and either her or the kids may eat the leftovers or may not. And if it's a meat-based meal, I kind of see more value in it than other things. So it's something I'm going to have to work through, but I wanted to mention that here. With that said, I want to talk about something completely different, and that is fiber. So as you may or may not know, carbohydrates and fiber are not considered essential macronutrients. In fact, fiber is not a macronutrient in and of itself. It's a type of carbohydrate that can't be broken down into sugar molecules, and the vast majority of all the fiber that's out there is not digestible in humans, because we have basically a section called the cecum, which in other animals like apes digest that, and it's not something that we can do. So we can't really get vitamins and nutrients from fiber. Some of it is water soluble, but the rest is not, basically. And since it's a carbohydrate and it's not really usable by our body in that sense, for nutrition, it's another non-essential thing that we don't necessarily need to put in our body, just like carbohydrates are. So I would posit that you only need fiber if you live on a carbohydrate-based diet, and if you wish to slow down the absorption of sugar from carbs. For example, some high fiber carbs are slower digesting, therefore the glucose is basically, the insulin spike, all that takes more time to do, and so you would slow down that absorption through that process. But in the world of ketogenic diets, and in particular carnivore diets, completely unnecessary. In fact, fiber is often called bulk or roughage because it adds to food volume, but it doesn't really condense to contribute to any sort of nutritional density. It passes through your entire digestive system essentially intact, and too much of that fiber, causes bloating, constipation, and gas. And while you could eat foods that have fiber but practically no carbs, the fiber itself basically does not count towards your calorie intake. So you could eat high fiber or fruit, high fiber fruit or vegetable, for example, with some carbs in it, and you'd only have to count the non-fiber carb calories in that snack or meal, etc. So it's just something to sort of keep in mind. And it's one of the advantages, I think, of the carnivore diet, is you don't have to worry about any of that mess. There's a whole industry built on fiber supplementation in and of itself, and that's just not needed on carnivore. In fact, practically all supplements are not really needed when you're on carnivore, unless you're doing carnivore badly, which is possible. Anything's possible. But it would likely make things worse if you added fiber to your carnivore way of eating, and you would just add bulk to the waste material. So I just don't recommend that, especially through supplementation, because you're spending even more money on essentially high cost supplements as opposed to food. which in that case you would just be going ketogenic or a different sort of whole foods diet, which is beyond what carnivore seeks to achieve. So I just don't see the value in fiber, especially if you're not eating carbs. As a carnivore, if you eat almost all fats and proteins, all your nutritional needs should be met, so long as you don't go out of your way to to do it in a bad way. So you don't need fiber to slow down digestion of essential amino acids and essential fatty acids, or to control your blood sugar on carnivore, since you're almost certainly in ketosis after just a couple days on this diet. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.